Hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting me here today. I am grateful for the opportunity to be with all of you and to talk about a topic that is very close to my heart, which is advocacy. My name is Matthew Huskinson, and since we'll be spending some time together, you can call me Matt. I'm a self advocate, which means I speak up for myself and others to create change, especially in the disability community. Today, I want to share my story, define what advocacy means, and talk about how we can all take action to improve the world around us. Whether you're just starting to advocate or have been doing this for years, we all have a part to play. My story. When I was born in Dixie Medical Center in St. George, Utah, I had a hole in my lung called a pneumothorax. My lung collapsed when I took my first breath. I spent my first week in the NICU. Then my mom took me home and everything seemed fine for a year and a half. Then it seemed out of nowhere, I started having partial complex seizures. I would get dizzy, vomit, and go unconscious for a couple of hours. My mom took me to doctors and eventually to Primary Children's Hospital, where I was seen by the neurologist, and I was one of the first patients in the neurobehavioral clinic. When I was 4 years old, I changed completely. I went from being a happy and engaged child that loved to play, look at books, and put puzzles together to being nonverbal, doing repetitive behaviors, and seemed completely shut down. I wasn't diagnosed with autism until later in my childhood, but the changes in at that young age changed my life forever. It meant I needed certain supports growing up, like special education and resource services all through school. Meant I didn't do a lot of things that I saw my peers doing growing up, like dating, getting a driver's license, and graduating from high school. That's another story I'll share with you later. Living with autism hasn't been easy. I sometimes need help with other things people may not think twice about. But it's also part of what makes me strong, determined, and able to see the world in unique ways. My mom was my first advocate. She was involved in all my IEP meetings. She would keep in touch with my teachers. She got me involved in the community by getting me in Special Olympics. I competed for 7 years. This became a family affair for us. My mom and my brother coached, and eventually my brother became head of delegations for Special Olympics at Utah State University. I loved participating and was a really fast breaststroker. But when my mom became the swim coach, I didn't want to swim anymore and decided to do basketball until my brother became the basketball coach. I have a very independent and stubborn personality. My mom also got involved with options for independence in Cache Valley, and I started becoming more active as an advocate. The Independent Living Center would hold Meet Your Legislature nights, and I made sure to go every time. After the meeting, I wouldn't just leave. I would talk to legislatures one on one about disability and independent living concerns. Since then, I've been able to graduate from high school, go on a mission, complete BYU pathways, and Ogden Weber Tech. And I have a great part-time job at the University of Utah, working as an office assistant, clinic assistant, and a self-advocate. Some of my most fulfilling work comes from being a part of the disability community by being involved on a number of boards and councils. What is advocacy? What does advocacy mean to you?
Matt, are you wanting us to answer?
Yes, please.
Okay, I will go first. Advocacy to me means using my voice, not only for myself, but my loved ones.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Thank you. Advocacy is speaking up or acting in support of a cause, a person, or a community. It means standing up for yourself or others to bring about positive change. Advocacy can look different depending on the person or situation. You might be asking for accommodations at school or work. You could be contacting lawmakers regarding a law or policy.
Just like they were talking about this evening.
Yes. Share your story publicly like I'm doing right now. Help a friend speak up. Each of us needs to advocate for ourselves throughout our lives, and sometimes those who aren't able to advocate for themselves need us to make our voices heard for them. Therefore, it's a very important skill to learn. When we advocate, we're making our voice heard, but it also requires action. Why advocacy matters? And I'm asking as a question.
Advocacy matters to make change.
Very good, Drake. Yeah, absolutely.
And then I'll say advocacy has changed the world. Because of advocacy, we had the Americans with Disabilities Act, inclusive education, better access to public places and services. But progress didn't happen on its own. People stood up, spoke out, and asked for change. Because of advocacy, here what was passed in the recent Utah legislative session. Disability coverage amendments, which addresses wraparound services for individuals with disabilities. Guardianships and supported decision-making agreements amendments. There's still much work to do. If we stopped advocating, much of what we have gained could be taken away. We must continue protecting and improving our rights and services, not just for ourselves, but for those who come after us. There are many ways to advocate. With the first, self-advocacy, speaking up for your own needs. Peer advocacy, helping others speak up. Group advocacy, working with others to bring about change. Legislative advocacy, talking to lawmakers and leaders. Online advocacy, using social media and technology to raise awareness.
That's what I do.
I can tell, Drake, you are a great advocate.
Yeah. There are many ways to be an advocate. You don't have to be too loud or political. You just have to be real, respectful, and willing to speak. Can anyone share an example of a time when you were an advocate? Maybe it was for yourself, family member, or someone else.
I am an advocate every day for my job at the Utah Parent Center, helping parents and empowering parents on how to use their voice.
I am an advocate through, through social media almost every day.
I love those. And it's so important, that we, like Matt was saying, that we advocate for ourselves and we advocate for others.
And also, for that advocacy, there are challenges in advocacy. Advocacy isn't always easy. What do you think might be some challenges to advocacy?
Ooh, it's kind of scary. Like I remember when Drake first started talking about just telling people you just got to jump in and do it, and then it's not so scary. But at first, it is scary, like to be able to speak up like that.
Talking to important people is scary. Like last night, I talked to this Salt Lake City board of education, and that was scary.
I bet, but you were so courageous, and you did it even though it was scary.
Yeah. Yeah.
And here's the things I'll say. Sometimes we feel ignored. We can get tired or discouraged because efforts can take years to be realized. We may face people who don't understand, don't see our vision, or don't care. They may make attempts to undo all the hard work and accomplishments of the disability community, such as dissolve a bill or service the disability community benefits from. That's why the fight needs to continue. But although advocacy is challenging, it is also rewarding and fulfilling. Okay. Just to tell you a little story about a challenging experience we have had when advocating. When it came to graduate from high school, I walked with my class and got an attendance certificate. I felt really unhappy about this. I wanted to graduate from high school with a real diploma like everyone else. Because I didn't get an actual high school diploma, I attended the peer project at Utah State University, which is a special ed post-high program. In the end, this did benefit me. I had different job experiences and met my future boss, Gordon Richens. Go on, go on. This
So
is Gordon
yours.
Richens, and the guy in the wheelchair. I was his office assistant, and this was one year I was put in the paper. And these two other pictures is when I went to Washington D.C. for a disability policy seminar. Well, back to this. He's the one in the wheelchair in this picture. He hired me as his office assistant at USU and became a great friend, mentor, and advocate. In the peer project, my goal was to get a GED since I didn't think I would be able to get a high school diploma. But this never happened. At my special ed exit meeting, when asked why I hadn't been given the opportunity to take a GED test, my teacher said I couldn't do math and so wasn't given the opportunity to try. The district representative questioned if I had been given any instruction or help. I was put through some computer modules, but unfortunately it wasn't helpful and I didn't accomplish my goal. After I exited out of post high, I still wanted to get a GED. I had heard the test was changing from 5 modules to 4 and was going to be a more challenging test. To get some help, my mom contacted the adult high school principal at Mountcrest. We were living in Hiram at the time. My mom explained my situation, and the principal asked her to get my transcript sent over to him. She did, and in the meantime registered me for the next class. My mom thought she would have to be my tutor, so she went with me the first night of class. When we got there, the principal met us all in the hall and said that I was short only a half credit to graduate and get a high school diploma. And no one had ever said anything to me or my mom about that. The class I had registered for would fulfill that requirement, and I would be able to get my adult high school diploma. However, remember my peer project teacher saying I couldn't do math. Well, this was a math class. That first night in class, my mom realized I would need more help than her. I had woke rehab services by then, so my mother went to my caseworker and requested a math tutor. The caseworker told my mom, "We don't have tutors here, and we tell students at the university to use their school money to pay for the tutors themselves. We can get him some clothes, though." My mom told the caseworker that I didn't need clothes. I need a tutor to help me get a high school diploma so I can move forward in life and get a better job. Mom isn't one to take no for an answer. So she called someone she knew had options for independence to get advice on what to do. They knew someone in the state rehabilitation office and connected us with that person. My mom explained to them what was happening and what I needed, and through a series of events, it was arranged with the Utah State University tutoring office that I would be getting a tutor, and the university would receive a voucher from the state rehab office for the services. I don't know if they still have the voucher system, but it created a lot of issues for people who needed services and help besides clothes. The tutor went to class with me for the next 9 weeks, and we met at the library once a week to go over homework. The first night of class, I took a pretest and probably missed most, if not all, the questions. In 9 weeks, I was tested again and only missed one question. With help from a great teacher who taught how I learned and a great tutor, I was able to pass the class and receive my high school diploma, adult high school diploma. It was such a proud day for me, and I told my mom that now I was equal with other men. This wouldn't have happened if I didn't have people advocating for me. Let's brainstorm. Where do we see advocacy happening today?
At school?
No?
Yep. And also at the Utah Parent Center.
Very true.
Yeah.
It could be disability rights marches, online petitions, testifying at the Capitol, writing letters to lawmakers.
In public places.
Exactly.
And then
Doctor's
there's
offices, right? At your
doctor's
doctor's office, you're advocating for yourself too.
Yes.
That is true.
There's always a positives to advocacy. Everyone's voice matters, including yours. Some of the kindest and caring people are advocates. Rewarding and fulfilling, you're making a difference not just in your life, but for many others. You get to be part of planting seeds for the generations to come. They grow with time, and you are needed. How do we get involved? How to get involved? How do we get involved?
I think we were talking about that tonight with, you're going to have a meet your legislator night. So you can all come and have your voices heard and talk to them about concerns that you have.
Yeah.
You
Hey,
can join a self-advocacy group.
Was someone going to say something? Was
oh,
that?
I was just gonna say, you guys, you're in the youth advisory board. Like that is an advocacy group.
Join a self-advocacy group like People First. Work with local centers for independent living. Volunteer with disability organizations such as the ARC or Autism Society. Write or call your local legislatures. Go to community meetings and speak up. Now, here are 3 tips to say for advocacy. Start small. Be consistent. Use your strengths. Now, call to action closing. You don't have to be a professional to be an advocate. You just need your voice, your story, and your willingness to care. One person can make a difference, but together we can move mountains. Let's commit to continuing work and advocacy, not just for today, but for tomorrow. Let's build a world that is fair, inclusive, and full of opportunity for all of us. And lastly, closing slide. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only that ever has. This is by Margaret Mead. And then I'll ask, what's one small step you can take this week to advocate for yourself or someone else?
To talk to people
Absolutely.
and say what you need.
Yes. Anyone else have some ideas? Well, Drake, thank you for that suggestion and letting us know what you plan to do this week.
Yes. And thank you for your time. And remember, we are the future of the disability community.